I think we got you here, Kerry. I think you're the executive director of Helping Seniors of Brevard, and John Harper usually calls you the double threat. He says that you're the one that we're getting two people for one at all times. So, Kerry, I think it's going to be a fantastic day for an event coming up in, well, not too distant future, but we're going to catch you at the Space Coast Health Foundation right about now.
Thank you, Jim Votro, for the great introduction. You know, it's always a pleasure to be here on the radio. Wednesdays, 12 noon to 1 p.m. It's our lunch hour gathering. In the midweek, we get to enjoy the time together. I'm Kerry Fink with Helping Seniors Radio. And this is the show that our president emeritus and founder, Joe Steckler, created all those years ago. He's been doing radio. And Jim, we've talked about this for years. John Harper got him started in radio, and he did that when he was building Brevard Alzheimer's, and it's been a hallmark of helping seniors. And normally, Jim, we're in a quiet radio studio, but we had the opportunity to be up here in Rockledge today. We're at the Space Coast Health Foundation. This is going on literally even while we're speaking. It is the Back to Work 50 Plus AARP job fair. What a great time this is to be here. The place is crowded. There's a lot of employers looking to hire great people. There's a lot of tips and things that are going to help people who are 50 plus who would like to supplement their income. Maybe they want to work full time. Maybe they're just looking for some things to fill in so they can get a little bit more oomph, because it seems like things cost more when you're out and about these days. But I have the very privilege of introducing to us the president now for Helping Seniors of Brevard. She is a great, great business person. I always talk to her like she's the rock star, because literally you are a rock star, because that's what the women, the We Venture folks, when they had their Women Who Vote, Women Who Rock vote, they selected you. Your company has been selected for accolades, best of the best. I'm talking about Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, and you're here on site, and we always talk about this. You're so good about not only providing seniors to give quality care for seniors, but you hire seniors to do that. Talk a little bit. Welcome.
Absolutely. So it is a pleasure to be here at the CareerSource 50 Plus, back to work job fair. And we really do hire seniors to go out and help seniors. And it's good for both sides. The client that we're coming into is getting someone a little closer in age that really understands what they're going through, very compassionate. But for our caregivers, there really are employees. They're a W-2, and they get some supplemental income, which is great. But it's a job that they can feel really, really good about. I talked to one of our caregivers actually on the way up here in the car. I was hands-free, I promise. But he was saying how much he enjoys being with his people and how much he enjoys the companionship, the camaraderie, and he feels good because he's helping. So he's got 3 different clients that he just loves being with. So we're giving him some additional income, but I think more than that, we're really giving him a sense of purpose and fulfillment in his retirement years that he was not finding anywhere else. So we're absolutely thrilled to have him on board. We're thrilled to, do what we do, and hopefully that really does show.
One of the things I was going to say is I remember a quote that you gave me once. You said, Kerry, we love to hire somebody who has the heart of a volunteer but doesn't mind accepting a paycheck. And you found, and we've talked about this on many radio shows in the past, that some of the people who have been through a caregiving experience where they have helped maybe with a family member or something, and that family member is that's no longer required for them for right now at this point, but they have those skills and they have that compassion and they have that caring. And like you said, it's a wonderful opportunity because it's a way to give back, and it's also a way to supplement the income. And I remember you telling a story about some of the particular caregivers that you've had. I remember you talking about a very elderly gentleman, and he was like, I think he was a retired school teacher. I could be confusing some of the stories, but you said this really fit perfectly, and it was so fulfilling for that individual to be able to do that, but it was also such a blessing to everybody that person was helping.
Oh, exactly. And, the funny thing is we've hired a Wall Street exec. We've hired retired school teachers, retired nurses, LPNs, retired CNAs, where they've had that background, but they don't want to do the hands-on part anymore, but they really love that patient care section. So, all different walks of life that come to us, but what they have in common is that they have cared for someone in their past. They understand why that's so valuable to families, and they can bring all of those skills that they've learned, whether it's been as a professional like an RN or as, someone who's taking care of mom or dad, they can bring those and help another family. And so it works really, really well.
I love what we're talking about here. Because really this is the whole spirit behind what Back to Work 50 Plus is all about, right? Because when we're here at this great job fair, again, we are live and we're on location at the Space Coast Health Foundation. It's 1100 Rockledge Boulevard, which is US 1. It's just a little bit north of the hospital on the right side of the road if you're heading north on US 1. And this is a tremendous opportunity because, Jennifer, also when you put on your helping seniors hat and help everything that we try to accomplish as the nonprofit that Joe established, one of the things is we get these calls from people having trouble on a fixed income trying to make their paychecks work. And as things are more expensive in certain areas, then they're struggling to say, like, how can I manage my rent increase? How can I manage whatever's going on? And for many, the opportunity to go back to work is not only a great opportunity to increase the income, but it's also a really good way to maybe get some stimulation. We talk all the time about how important it is to find a purpose in life. And so with what you do with seniors, helping seniors is so important. But also we have the luxury of being able to talk with Lois Thomas here. I'm going to let you introduce Lois and let's get her in the conversation because I love that we can use Lois as a resource with all the great work she does with its CareerSource, Brevard, Volusia, Flagler.
CareerSource, Brevard, Flagler, Volusia.
Oh, I had it in the wrong order, but I was close. All right.
I would love to introduce Lois. I've known Lois for a number of years now. Actually, I think going back before she was even with CareerSource. But Lois is an amazing person, very giving heart. All the years that I've known her, very giving heart, beautiful person. And this really is an opportunity for those 50 plus. Not that I think 50 is a senior, but AARP makes that rule, so that's what we're going to go with. But it gives them a chance to come out and look for employment. And, in other countries, there is no word for retirement. There's just it's a different purpose. We go from one purpose to another purpose, and you might find a wonderful purpose here. I'm so thrilled to be here and to be here with Lois. Lois, talk to us about what is happening today.
Absolutely. So today we're currently at the Space Coast Health Foundation in beautiful Rockledge, Florida, and we're currently hosting our Back to Work 50 Plus Job and Resource Fair. We have over 20 employers here, as well as community-based organizations throughout Brevard County. And what they're doing now, we have employers that are sharing information on different available opportunities. And we have community-based organizations here as well that are also sharing different resources to our job seekers that are coming out for today's event. Now, we also have a professional photographer outside of the venue that's taking professional portraits for those who are also interested in going back to work. These are photos that they can use for their LinkedIn profile pages. They can also use this for their business card or professional website. And so it's just an awesome event to see so many employers here that support a multi-generational workforce that are actively hiring in one place, in one location, providing opportunities to seniors in need. And we are just so excited to host this event another year. I believe this is our third year here at the Space Coast Health Foundation. So we're just so excited for all of the job seekers that have showed up and even those who are on their way to take part and take advantage of this opportunity.
Well, the turnout is great here today. This is going on until 1 p.m. If you're out in the Rockledge, Merritt Island area, it's not difficult to get here. 1100 Rockledge Boulevard, that's US 1. It's just maybe a mile or so north of the hospital on the right side. Lots of people out here, and like Lois was explaining, they are here to equip you to be successful in your job search as well. And Lois, I wanted to ask you one more question. I know you're on the run. There's so many people, there's so many things, but so if somebody can't get out here today, one of the things is you guys are really a wonderful resource. What do you recommend to somebody if they're not able to make it out here before 1 o'clock today? What would be the right next step for them?
I would strongly recommend for them to take a list of the employers that have scheduled for today's event and to just go ahead, visit their company's website and apply to the different opportunities that are out there. All of the employers that are scheduled for today, they are actively hiring. And so if you are unable to make it for whatever reason, I would still encourage you to visit their website, apply online, and hopefully you'll hear some good news from one of the employers soon.
Yeah. So thank you, Lois, for taking a minute. Jennifer, thank you so much, Lois. And Jennifer, I was going to say, these are some big names out here. I see Community Credit Union. I see Launch Credit Union. I see the Sheriff's Departments out here, the Brevard County Library. I mean, these are some, Health First is out here. These are some big companies that are terrific employers too.
They are. LF Staffing is out here. The staffing companies will hire you, send you out, and you can see if it's a good fit. So the employer gets to see if it's a good fit, but you as an employee get to see, is this a company that I want to work for? So it's kind of a great way to enter in on a temporary basis to see, do I want to be here on a permanent basis? So there's so many options here that really, you just can't go wrong. One more thing, sometimes the applications are online, but sometimes they are, old school, like Seniors Helping Seniors. We realize that we are hiring seniors. So we have paper applications. So if you want to stop by and grab a paper application today, you can do so. And I think several of the other employers here have that as well. So it's a chance for you, if you're not an online person, to be able to come in, meet face-to-face, kind of get to know who is that person, what are they all about, and to take a paper application home with you. So that's an option as well.
This is really the thing, because I've had a lot of opportunity to ask Lois about this in the past. I said, I guess one of the problems is, like, if you haven't been on a job search lately, maybe you're a little intimidated because, you got to submit everything online. It's a whole different deal than when you would normally sit across the desk and talk to somebody, which is why this venue is so good, because here you get to meet somebody. You can ask the questions you have about the company. They will tell you exactly what they're looking for. The folks from AARP and Back to Work and CareerSource Brevard will help make sure that you're putting your best foot forward. Like, how do you apply? Like she was mentioning, they've got a photographer here who will take your portrait so that you've got a professional photo and all the things that you want to be thinking about. I guess the kids who grow up, with cell phones, they all have this idea of how to do stuff. But if you haven't done this before, these are all new skills. And one of the things that I love about a job fair like this, and particularly I'm thinking about your company, Jennifer, is that you offer the ability to have people have very flexible schedules. So somebody says, well, I can give this many hours this week to work, but I have to have this because I'm doing this other thing. Those are the kind of things that a office like yours, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, is able to work with seniors on.
Absolutely. So we've got some caregivers that have been with us for 10 years. And, when they first started, they were working almost every day of the week because they wanted to be busy and out of trouble. And now I've got one lady that really, she just does pickup work for us. So if somebody calls in sick, if somebody is out on vacation, or, the customer adds an appointment and their regular caregiver can't be there, she'll kind of pick up those as needed services, maybe 1 or 2 a week, but that's in some weeks she doesn't pick up anything. So that's kind of where she is, and her want to work. And that's fine, because we need those fill-ins every once in a while. So we really do try to go by how busy someone wants to be. So we are a very flexible option for people who are retired and maybe still, want to go on some cruises or do things that they don't want to be 100% tied down to a 40-hour work week, but yet have some time that they want to give another senior on a weekly basis.
Well, and also you guys are, we've talked about this, that you guys are actually like a full employer. So all the things that, happen with an employment role happens there. So somebody can use this really as a base to work with on their schedule. I know that you've talked about so often that you're very affordable to the homes that bring you in, because we've talked about this so many times on Helping Seniors Radio. Joe has always said what you do with seniors helping seniors, you're that first rung, that first element of care. It's called companion care, if I'm saying that the right way, where you're getting just a little bit of help to begin to take care of things that you might not be able to manage around the house. So, and then because you hire people who are in that same peer group age-wise, there's that connection that happens. It's really a beautiful model for how to deliver home care. Like, let's say you're on the other side of the fence and maybe you are looking for a little extra help. How do people learn about the different things that Seniors Helping Seniors can do, and how do they get in touch with you?
So, of course, we're online and we're on Facebook, so you can always check us out online, seniorshelpingseniors.com/Brevard. We have an active Facebook page, but you could also give us a call, 321-722-2999. We're always happy to talk to people and educate people. I have talks. I live in a 55-plus community now myself, so I have no problem going over and sitting down last weekend with a neighbor and talking to them about the services that are open to them. And honestly, I didn't even recommend us as Seniors Helping Seniors. I mentioned Chefs for Seniors, one of our sponsors at Helping Seniors of Brevard County. And, we talked about case management and a couple of other things. We're always willing to sit and talk it out with a senior. Maybe we're a good fit, wonderful. And maybe we're not. Maybe they need another resource. So we're always willing to do that, because at the end of the day, we're here to help seniors, just like, helping seniors. That's why I love helping seniors. We're here to help seniors. So we want them to have the best fit possible for their needs. So definitely give us a call and we'll see what we can do to be helpful.
Yeah, I wanted to add another thing. I thought, maybe sometimes when people hear the term Seniors Helping Seniors, they may think, well, I don't really have like a medical background, or that's not my skill set. And that was a point that I wanted to bring up, is like, you're looking for people with really just caregiving kind of, I guess I would say a bent for caregiving, a compassion for people, and that you found people from all walks of life who can really do this job and really get a lot out of it personally, besides the paycheck, just a feeling of like, I'm doing something important.
Oh, exactly, because we don't do any medical, we don't do any hands-on, so there is no lifting.
Right.
So our seniors shouldn't be lifting anyway.
Right.
That is a skill, and even a lot of younger CNAs have bad backs because of that. So we're not doing any of that. You're not doing the medical. It's more of the fun things on a day-to-day basis that a senior needs for help. And I lost my train of thought. There was something I wanted to get in there too, and I totally forgot. So I'm having my own little senior moment.
No, it's okay. But for just to be sure, we get the phone number. If somebody can't make it out here today, what's a good number to reach?
So please call 321-722-2999. Like I said, we would love to talk to you. And you don't have to have that caregiving background, or medical background. My own background is actually in exceptional education. And I worked with a lot of behavioral, and because of the my own family's needs, unfortunately we have Alzheimer's and dementia in our family. So watching family members go through this and kind of having that behavioral background with children, it actually was a perfect fit for me going into Seniors Helping Seniors, because what I did for my kids and having that patience level is not all that different than having that patience level with our folks with dementia, and having that background with my own family members really, really helped, because we've been there, we've done that. And so that's what we're really looking for in our caregivers too, is you don't have to have a medical background. You just need a compassionate heart. And if you have cared for a loved one, a mom, a dad, a spouse, you are the perfect candidate.
Yeah. So we're talking with Jennifer Barton, who is the owner of Seniors Helping Seniors. You guys were awarded Best of in the Florida Today Awards this year, and you were named Women Who Rock in the We Ventures, which is really a testimony to how you've really led and grown this company over the years. You guys have been serving in this county for well over a decade. How long has it been?
So in April, it'll be 14 years.
Wow. And then you've been involved in the Helping Seniors world, helping Joe side by side. You've served first as secretary, and when Joe announced in August, he said, it's time to pass the baton to you kiddies. He was like, it took the board a nanosecond to say, Jennifer, would you please lead us going forward? Thank you for taking that. It's a just so you know, that is a thankless job. It is a non-paid position. and there's a lot of stress and a lot of work that goes with it but our hearts are in the right place, and we're trying to make a difference for seniors. In fact, Helping Seniors is here. We're not really an employer in that level. We're always looking for volunteers who want to help us down at Joe's Senior Resource Center, but we're here with information today, and we're going to talk in the second half of the show a lot about the car raffle, which is coming up on Sunday. But real quick, talk up the car raffle, because Jennifer, you've watched this thing grow over the years. You've been like Team Dodge has been the fun side of all this, and I think you're still Team Dodge because the Hornet is one of those cars that you can pick in the raffle this year.
Absolutely, and that Hornet was a lot of fun to drive. It really was, I have to admit. And it's a hybrid, so it gets great gas mileage, but it still has a little pickup and pedal shifter, so that was a whole lot of fun to drive. But Sunday afternoon at the museum, it's the first time we've done this on a Sunday afternoon, so we're really excited because people are going to be able to get there and leave in daylight hours. So we're making sure our seniors can get there safely and leave safely. But it's an amazing place to go visit if you've never been there. Even if you're not a car person, there's so much memorabilia and so much history in that museum. It's amazing. And we're going to this year have things inside and outside the museum. We've got some food trucks, some ice cream trucks. Dunkin' Donuts is going to be there. We just have a lot going on that day that I think it'll be a great day out for everybody. So come on out, because number one, it's going to be a great day for you. Number two, you could possibly win a car, and you are helping an amazing organization. Helping Seniors runs the senior helpline in Brevard County. Over 5,000 calls last year. We're all in the same offices, so I get to personally go up and kind of, I don't eavesdrop, but I do get to hear what's going on, and if I have a senior that calls me, I can run up front and say, hey, look, this is what I've got. Can you guys help? Where are the resources for this person? And all of us in the organization, all of us volunteers, anytime we get a hold of a resource, we're taking it to Helping Seniors in Brevard County. So their resource list is enormous. So it's such a great cause. So come on out, get your tickets for the raffle. You could win a car. You're going to have a great afternoon, and you're helping support an amazing organization.
No, it's so good. Again, we are live and on location from the Back to Work 50 Plus AARP Foundation. That's who puts all this together, under Lois Thomas with CareerSource. Now, let me see if I get the order right. It's Brevard, Flagler, Volusia. But it's our local agency that really is geared toward helping people find work. So we're out here today until 1 p.m. at the Space Coast Health Foundation location, 1100 Rockledge Boulevard. That's US 1. Come on out and be here. If you can't, make sure you call our Helping Seniors information line. I'm going to give you that number, give you a moment to grab a pencil and jot this down, because you absolutely want to get this information about everything that's going on here at the center, because they're going to be equipped to help you develop your plan for going back to work 50 plus. And I wanted to mention, Jennifer, by the way, that our friends from AARP are going to be on site with us Sunday out at the American Muscle Car Museum. So not only is Mark Pylock's great collection on display, and we're going to talk about this a lot in the second half of the show, but not only is his display just superb, but there's going to be all these great exhibits outside. Bill Antonette's our friend with the car shows, is bringing out some cool cars, but we're going to have food. There's going to be some food trucks there. There's going to be Dunkin' Donuts. Our friend Tisha Hill is making sure we're going to have some things. All this is helping fund the work of Helping Seniors, because as a nonprofit, we can only go as far as people will help us to go. That's why this car raffle is so important as a fundraiser. It's literally like half of our budget each year. So I'm glad to see folks like AARP are going to be on site, where there's going to be some fun things. Tint World is going to be on. He's going to have that really cool he's got this beautiful cyber truck that's going to be out there. There's going to be things inside, outside. It's family friendly. We're going to talk more on the second half of the show. And so we're going to go ahead and be back in the studio for the second half of the show. But thank you, Jennifer, for being here with us and for doing all this great work in the community.
Absolutely. My pleasure. Can't wait till Sunday.
All right. Back for the second half in just a moment.
And now we're going to come back to the second half of our show, where actually Fink is in the studio now. Boy, you made that fast from way up there in Rockledge. You really did. He was. I'm not saying he was speeding. I'm just saying that he's here now, and we're very happy to have him here. Welcome on in to the second half of the Helping Seniors of Brevard show, and our guest, our executive director for Helping Seniors of Brevard, Kerry Fink.
At the end of the day, the Back to Work 50 Plus program is put together by the AARP Foundation and Lois Thomas, who is just good as gold with CareerSource Brevard. They work so hard to make resources available to help people find good employment. And, you know, for many seniors, that is the difference between having your needs met and then maybe even having some spending cash so you can go do some fun things along the way. And maybe it's just a good excuse to stay, you know, to be honest, stimulated and find some things where you can give back and share your experience and do that. And one of the things that I love about that program is how they work the whole thing together. So first of all, they get great employers together. These are all what I would call A-plus employers. And then B, they get great tools for you so that you can be your best you in terms of chasing down a job, you know. And the thing that we spent so much time talking about in the first half of the show is the very fact that, you know, you can kind of call the shots. You know, you can say, I want to work part-time, I can work full-time, but there's great resources. So you'll want to check out CareerSource Brevard. If you look them up on Facebook. Lois Thomas is here in the office here in Palm Bay area, and when she's not putting together these great programs, but they do so much. They'll help you figure out resumes, how to apply for things online. It's just a great service. And what a great thing to look at. So I'm excited about that. And Jim, really the thing that we were smiling about is we wanted to get into the fun of the car raffle because as you know, for the Helping Seniors organization, this is our big fundraiser each year. It's really kind of incredible. Joe, I remember talking with AJ Hires, and he said, you know, Kerry, Joe and I have been giving away cars for charity going all the way back into the 90s, Jim, and it's really pretty amazing when you think about it, because I remember Joe saying, Kerry, this is a fun way. We always, as a nonprofit, are having to basically always be asking people to help us support the work of Helping Seniors, and Joe always said, but this is a fun way to do it, and it really is, Jim.
Yeah, it is, Kerry. One of the things that I always like about the car auction is it gives me a chance to get into that muscle car museum, and not the least of which is well, it's always good for us to go about the process and the business of buying a ticket to help seniors so that we can help seniors. That's what we do. We try and help seniors. What's the best way to help seniors? Information. Those 5,000 calls you get, it's not like, hi, oh yeah, how are you, bye. It's not like that at all. It's like, can we help you? Yeah. And what can we do? I'm a widow and I don't know, my husband's... Was he in the military? Can I get him seniors benefits? Can I get widows benefits? All those types of things, those questions, we're there to answer.
Yeah, you said that so well, because really that's the point. You know, when I first met Joe, he had just retired the second time. He'd retired from the Navy. I guess that was his first retirement.
38 years there.
And then he had retired from what he was doing with Brevard Alzheimer's, because he built up those Joe's clubs. And when I met him, he said, Kerry, what I realized is that even though we have some good tools now in our county to help families that may be facing these memory challenges, he said every senior has to have help with these things that you run into. It. So that's why we call it senior navigation, Jim, because, you know, you run into this stuff and you just don't know where to turn or what to do next. And that's really the value. And like you pointed out, you know, a lot of people say, well, are you like a referral line? And we say, no, on a good day, if we could just hand somebody a phone number and say, have a nice day, that would be wonderful. But there's so many nuances to each of these things, and that's what Helping Seniors exists to do. But back to the fun of the car raffle, what's really fun about it is, you know, I'm not a gambling person, but somebody is going to get keys to a new car on Sunday. So it might as well be you, but the only way it's going to happen is if you get a raffle ticket. But the part that everybody is a winner, even though you don't have to be present to win, is when you get out to that museum. Jim, you've been there before. Talk about the cars and just the excitement that happens that day.
I have never, ever in my whole life seen that many cars in one place, and not just that many cars. Well, other than a junkyard, that is no junkyard, my friend. The cars are worth literally millions of dollars. I mean, there's one there that I think cost $11 million, if I'm not mistaken.
You're right.
And they've got that. But my favorite car in the whole museum is the lady's shoe.
Yep.
The lady's shoe, believe it or not, folks, they have a lady's shoe that you can drive around the track. I mean, I don't think they'd let me drive around the track, but I always think that would be a fun car to drive. But they've got Porsches, they've got Mercedes, they've got Corvettes. Oh, my goodness, do they have Corvettes? They are phenomenal. They have so many different cars at the museum. I mean, you know, back in the old 70s when the old Malibus were there with the old, you know.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you, they've got some beautiful, beautiful cars there. And it's just wonderful to take the whole thing in. You can enjoy it. There's wonderful. There's food. There's beverages.
Yeah.
And there's all kinds of stuff. That's really great. This year it's going to be even better because we're doing it from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and that means that from 1 o'clock until 4 o'clock we have probably a great time for the whole family. I mean, see, the car raffle traditionally has been on in the evenings.
Right.
Now it's going to be something. It's going to be a family event. It's grown and continues to grow. And also, I'm going to tell you, get there a little bit early because the parking is great. But get there, especially if you want a really good spot. And I'd say get there a little bit early. But honestly, there's going to be so much happening that it'll be great. I mean, can you imagine you taking your son or your daughter and they get a look at these beautiful, beautiful cars, especially if they're of driving age or getting to become driving age or maybe anticipating.
Yeah.
So it'll be a lot of fun. It really will. The whole museum is just remarkable. And there's that whole. I was interested in the big bunch of solar panels in front of it.
Yeah.
And that runs the power. That runs the power for the museum.
Yeah, you know, Mark Pylock, he's such a great benefactor in our community. You know, he built the dog parks. I mean, he built this beautiful place, and while it is his collection, he is so gracious to open it up, and he helps not just us, but he helps a lot of charities with hosting events. Our friends at Brevard Alzheimer's, they get to do their big spring barbecue event there when they do their car raffle. And ever since he's opened, he invited Joe. He said, no, I want to help you guys, and I will make my museum available so you guys can do the grand drawing. And as you pointed out, Jim, it's always been historically a Saturday evening event. But what we were talking about after the last event, which broke every record kind of known or unknown, they were telling us as many as 6,000 people were there last year, and that it was actually, we heard from a few people who couldn't actually get in because of the traffic. And so when we sat down, we said we want it to be a great experience for everybody. So Mark says, listen, why don't we do this on a Sunday afternoon? Because that's going to do several things. Number one, it's daylight on both sides. So the whole process of getting in there, if you're traveling with a senior and they need to be dropped off really close to the door, then that's easy to do, both dropping off and picking up, because it's going to be daylight on both sides. Parking is going to be easier because it's daylight. We've asked a couple of the Melbourne's finest in the police department. They're going to be helping there, making sure that we're working the traffic control. One of our board members, Ashley Caswell, has got, she calls it the crew. It's a group of teenagers that are going to help with they're going to join the force and help with the parking. So we're going to have lots of help with parking. So the parking is going to be great, even better compared to than what we've been able to do in the past. But here's the other side. Because it's daylight hours, Mark said, why don't you make it a family-friendly event? Like, you know, he goes, I'll spring for sodas and water, and we'll have chocolate chip cookies while they last and all kinds of things. And if you guys want, you can have some food trucks. It's additional fundraiser for helping seniors outside. But he said, because it's daylight, not only can we be inside the museum, but we can be outside the museum. So we've cooked up a lot of fun outside the museum as well, Jim. So there's going to be so much, and that also spreads out the number of people. So there'll be more room to move around. So on the inside, what happens? This is how it works. Mark said, you know, Joe has never raised the price of the tickets. since the very first car raffle. This is car raffle number 8 in the Helping Seniors world. It's so important for us. It's half of our budget. But Joe has always had this thing. I want it to be $25 a ticket or $5 for 100. And despite everything else in the world going up, we've left the price of the tickets the same year after year after year. So almost by definition, they're probably more affordable than they ever been. But Mark said, listen, he said, I'm doing this across the board. He said, I would like, if people want to see the full collection, he said, I'd like for you to ask for them to show 2 tickets to see the full collection. Why? He said, because I'm asking that for all the charities across the board. He said, I want you guys to do better. I want my charities to do better. But he said, also, quite frankly, his collection has doubled. It has. Jim, I was thinking, I remember the first year we were all out there and he had 250 cars and there was lots of space and you could walk around and you could really enjoy the museum. But part of the challenge has been he's up to almost 500 cars. Jim, when you're in there, the aisles are closer together, and now he's got things on double stacks. I was joking with some of the guys who run the museum for him. I was saying, what is he going to do if you keep getting more cars? Obviously, eventually he's going to build another wing to this thing, which is already like 2 aircraft hangars long. But they said, oh, we're already looking at triple stacks and quadruple stacks because he is cornering the market on the best vehicles that's out there. Jim, you've seen them. I mean, it's like Dodges, it's Chevys, it's pace cars, it's it's just every kind of car you can imagine.
It's not my 51 Plymouth with the Cadillac radio. I'll tell you, folks, that it isn't. That was a hand-painted car. I mean, look at these beautiful, beautiful vehicles that he's got there. There's not one there that anybody just wouldn't drive. I mean, it's just absolutely gorgeous vehicles. And, the cars are so much a part of our lives, and it's just amazing what Mark Hylock has been able to amass in terms of this grand collection. And folks, this is Melbourne, Florida. I mean, and Mark has been so good in that he does support so many charities, including Helping Seniors at Brevard. And the concept of going and showing up with the full intention of having a wonderful day for a family day outside and inside. And it's just, I just think it's a great idea. It really is. I think the fact that we have the food trucks outside. Yeah. The fact, what did you call it, an adventure village or something
we're calling
like that?
it. So let's go into this just a little bit because I was going to tell you that there's so much going on. That's why Mark said, he said, let's make it daylight and let's make it family friendly. Bring the grandkids, bring the kids. So if you have your ticket, then you're okay. And he, like I said, he really wants you to show 2 tickets. So we have a whole plan for that. So if you want to see the back half of the museum, everybody can access the front half and everything going on outside with just your ticket. And then we have a program where you can go see the back half. It's an additional fundraiser for Helping Seniors. He just wants to see 2 tickets for that part of it. So we'll talk about that in a minute. But he said, but also to make this kid friendly, you can bring your kids or grandkids. So up to 2 kids per adult ticket can go with you wherever you're going. And so he said, let's really make it family friendly. So to your point, Jim, what we're talking about is, the number of cars has also grown. I mean, the first year that Joe put the whole raffle together, I think a lady's husband had passed away, and so they donated his prize car, a beautiful Jaguar. And the next year, Joe was scratching his head saying, like, well, we want to do this again because it's so important, and it's a great way to raise funds for our charity. So he went to his friend A.J. Hires, and A.J. gave him a car out of his collection, and that was how the second raffle happened. But it was a classic 1951 Ford, and interestingly enough, the gentleman who won it, who had supported Joe all those years with Brevard Alzheimer's, he said, I don't know what to do with this. He said, I'm not a collector, but he said, I sure could use a Jeep. And I don't know how they horse traded it out, but the guy goes home in a Jeep, and A.J. still has that car, as far as I know, in his collection. Well, so the next year, A.J. said, what do you guys want to do? And so we were talking with him and said, well, if it's all the same to you, could we have a new car? And that way everybody needs a new car. Sure. If it's not you, somebody in your family who does and all that. So that's how that got started. I think the first year we had 3 new cars to choose from. This year we're up to 7, which is where Choose Your Adventure comes in, because there's 7 amazing choices, Jim. I'm curious, which one's your favorite? There's a Chevrolet Colorado pickup truck. These are all brand new, so all 2024 models. There is a Dodge Hornet, which is like a little racing hot rod. There is a Jeep Compass, a four-wheel drive sport, Jeep Compass Sport. There is a Mazda 3, which is a nice little sedan. There's a couple of SUVs, the Mitsubishi Outlander, like our winner Diane Pelak chose last year in the car raffle. There's a Kia Sportage, because AJ has a Kia dealership too. And then there's the fun little Mazda Miata convertible. Jim, which car do you like out of all those?
Well, it's very interesting because I really do like the Mazda Miata. However, figuring that I couldn't get in or out of it, I would probably get one of those. I like the Kia Sportage or Sportage.
Yeah.
I used to call mine the Sportage. I had one of the best cars I ever had was that Kia Sportage. And I really loved my old one until it finally died. But I will tell you, if I could get a ticket and win, I'd like that, but I can't because anybody who works with us does. We're just sitting out there at the waving.
Yeah, we can drool over the cars, but
Right.
we can't win them. But I was thinking about that because you remember too. I was smiling when you were talking about the Sportage you finally had to give up on over time. But that's another thing because all of AJ Hire's cars come with warranty forever. So first of all, these cars they're all brand new, so they come with a new car warranty. But then they're part of AJ's car family, so you have warranty forever. So you can't really do much better than win one of the cars or shop a car at AJ showrooms. But so back to the outside, this is where we came up with the idea as we were talking about it. We said, well, we want to create fun outside as well because we want everybody to be able to enjoy the entire museum area. So they said, let's put up some fun things that are very home to Brevard. So I'm hearing that we're going to see folks from Camp Holly, which is the airboat rides and the fish camp and all that. They're going to be out there. I'm hearing from our friends at Tint World. They're going to have a cool cyber truck out there. So you're going to be able to get a look at one of those up close. There is going to be a number of our friends at AARP are going to be out there with many of the friends of Helping Seniors are going to be there. Rhodes Law Firm is one. Synergy Home Care is another one that's going to be on site. We were talking earlier about Vicki Moore, who just loves that Mazda Miata. Well, she's Moore Insurance Solutions, and she's like our Medicare, Medicaid kind of expert, so she's going to be on hand. So we got all sorts of different things that are going on. There is a really cool thing, Jim. You're going to get a kick out of this. The kid is 10 years old, and his name is Aiden the Shark, and he is a racing masterpiece. He has been racing, started out in go-karts at age 6. I guarantee you we're going to see this kid on NASCAR tracks by the time he's 19 or 20. You will see because his race team is coming out. They're going to bring his car. It's an upgrade from a go-kart. It's now actually I can't remember the technical term, but it's like a mid-size kind of little racing thing. And his crew chief was telling me that they go around the country to these different meets and race, and he said this kid 10 years old is racing with kids 19 or 20, so he starts at the back of the pack, but by the time the race is over he's almost at the front, and everybody cannot believe this kid is just 10 and has been. So you're going to meet Aiden the Shark out there. So that's another thing. And then our friend Bill Antonetz, who does the car shows, like the really, I would almost call it world famous Duncan car show. They had like 250 cars out there every third Saturday beachside by the Duncan there on A1A and Indy Atlantic. He's picking out some of the top cars, and they're going to be outside as well. So there's going to be so much to see and do, Jim.
There's going to be so much to do. That's great. With regard to Aiden the Shark,
yeah,
I wonder what his car insurance looks like. I mean, my goodness.
It's amazing. I was asking because so when we were out there, because he had brought it out to the Duncan show, and that's when we asked, could you come back if you're not racing on Sunday? Could you come out and join us at the car show? And they said, no, we would love to. We'd be happy to. And so he gave us a tour. It's all there if you go to the Helping Seniors Facebook page or our YouTube channel, you'll see the video because he was giving us a tour of the car. And I'm like, aren't you scared when you get, I mean, like you're
Yeah.
like moving fast, but I mean, it's professional. It's got all the safety features, but still, like, could you imagine doing that when you're 10 years old? Unbelievable.
No, I can't. I can't imagine doing it when I'm
Right.
78.
Right. So there's going to be so much fun. So I said to Aiden, I said, first of all, I can't wait to fast forward 10 years and watch you, because we're gonna be watching that TV screen or whatever it is, and going like, look, we knew him when he was just getting started. I said, but also you're an inspiration to all other kids too, because everybody says, well, when you grow up, maybe you can do this. And here's a kid who's 10 years old making it happen now.
And I bet there's some grandchildren out there that might come to the Choose Your Own Adventure village, might come there and might be able to sit there and inspire their 10-year-old to maybe go in the same direction. So
absolutely. And then like you talk about, when you get inside the museum, it's interesting because I've met a lot of people as we've been out at various events. And Jim, a lot of people don't even know the museum is there, right? Because there's not signs and you can't go in it except when he opens it up for a charity event. So we always explain, like, well, if you're driving down Sarno and you see that kind of like that tan wall and it's got all these mysterious looking solar panels and things like that, I said, that's where it is, right there in front of, what's that place called? Club 52. And that's like behind it.
Behind Walmart.
Right, behind Walmart.
Yeah.
And so people go, oh, I didn't know that's what that was. And then there's people who have been there before, and they say they love going back because it keeps growing. But then I also meet people who aren't really necessarily car aficionados. I said, you don't have to be a car aficionado to appreciate you. First of all, you're just going to be amazed at the number of cars. But he's got collections of everything from old fishing boat motors to gasoline pumps.
Yep.
It's amazing. Bicycles, everything he's got in there.
He's a collector. He certainly is. And, it's fun to actually go in and I imagine, well, I wonder if I would have bought that. Or, gee, would they like my 51 Plymouth? And I know they wouldn't. That was my first car. And no, they wouldn't like my 51 Plymouth, but they might sure like that McLaren out front for, what, $5 or $6 million?
My goodness. I was asking Andrew Mackey, who is the gentleman who is in charge of events, and he's been with Mark like ever since we've been working together, and Ed Diedick, who's the operation manager, and they've given us like little behind the scenes tour. The first thing that's fascinating is every single car is not an accident. It isn't like Mark just walked out and said, oh, that's a pretty car, let me buy that. There is a story behind each and everything you see in that museum. And the fun part was, I was asking them, I said, each year I go back, I said, well, how much is just this front room? Because there's about 12, 14 cars right there in the front room. And normally I would hear the answer of like $5 million or $6 million worth of cars right there in the front room. And so I think it was last year we went in, and I said, what's the front room worth this year? He says, I can't tell you. He said, see that car in the center? That's a Ford GT prototype. He said, what I can tell you is I think Mark traded $5 million cash and 5 other cars for that one car sitting right there. So that means the front room by itself is probably, I don't know, $12 million, $14 million worth of cars. And you get to go up there and get photos and have a great time and be there and enjoy it and know that you're supporting the work of helping seniors. So, Jim, we got to talk about how you get tickets. There's lots of good ways to get tickets.
Oh, we got to talk about that. That's really important. I got friends who are calling and saying, hey, I want tickets. How do I get my tickets? Tell them how, Kerry.
So number one, if you're near any of the Boniface Hires dealerships, remember you've got the Boniface Hires Dodge, Jeep, Chrysler, Ram. It's right there on 520 as you come off the expressway and headed towards Cocoa. So that's a dealership. You can go get them there. You can get them at any of the dealerships. The Kia store that we talked about on US 192. Many of the dealerships are right there in downtown Melbourne, like the Mazda store. The Mitsubishi store is right there on US 1. And so is the Chevrolet store right down US 1. They have your tickets there waiting for you. You can pick them up at our Helping Seniors offices, which is in Joe's, we call it Joe, named after Joe Steckler, our founder and now president emeritus, 90 going on 91, and every day writing articles and trying to make life better for seniors. But Joe's Senior Resource Center, we're in that beautiful Omni Healthcare building downtown Melbourne, just a block or two from the hospital. They gave us a big space, donated. Let me say this. Mark donates this for us at the museum. Dr. DeLegdish with Omni Healthcare donates that space. So when you put your money into helping seniors, you are making a good, sound nonprofit investment because this is, we try to do everything on the absolute minimum and get as much donated. But right there, 1344 South Apollo Boulevard, Melbourne, Florida, second floor. Come see us. Karen's got your tickets, and they'll get you set up. You can call us, 321-473-7770. I'll say that number again because it is also the Helping Seniors info line, 321-473-7770. And you can also go online and get your tickets today, right now, even while we're speaking, at HelpingSeniorsCarRaffle.com. And Jim, like we always say, you got to be in it to win it.
Absolutely. And today is the last day you can do that and get your tickets by mail. Isn't that correct?
Right. Now, it means tickets. So I get asked this question. Well, what happens if I call tomorrow? You're fine. Please call tomorrow. It just means you're going to be on a will call list, and you can get tickets day of. We have tickets there at the museum. I always recommend if you can get this going today and get your tickets in the mail, it's going to be so much better because you can skip lines and things like that. It just makes the whole process easier. So get your tickets today would be my advice, but in all cases, get your tickets.
Absolutely. And, you the idea of, well, I want to get it last minute so I can get it right up near the top, they dig down in those things, and that thing rolls around. And it takes it doesn't work that way. I've tried.
No, they roll the barrel, and then too. By the way, even if you don't have to be present to win. So there are snowbirds and they're out of town or different things like that. So we always try to put this out as a Facebook Live and a YouTube as well. So, but you got to be in it to win it. Helping Seniors Car Raffle. Thank you, Jim. I think that's probably the time we have for today, but it's so fun talking about this.
You're pretty correct. I think that is just about the time we have for today. And, are they starting the music on us? I'm not sure. I think they probably are.